Hey everyone, Scott Toy Guru Neitlich's Lego avatar here, and I want to talk today about the art of reissuing toys. I've made quite a few videos on this, the pros and the cons, but I've never really kind of put it all together. And with the plethora of reissued toys out there, let's kind of jump in. All right, so usually when I talk about reissuing toys, I talk about Venn diagrams.
I've heard this bedtime story before.
Okay, yeah, but it works, right? Each circle represents the minimum order quantity that you have to order. Where they overlap is the demand. So you can see sometimes there's not enough demand to justify an entire production, an entire new MOQ. When you do that, you wind up with what I call the storm disaster. Sorry, Storm, I don't mean to pick on you. Big fan, but this is just such a perfect example of when reissuing a figure back backfires spectacularly. All right, so when is it a good idea to reissue figures? Well, this is a great example on shelf right now, this reissue of She-Ra, and you'll notice in the corner no longer does it have the year she came out, it just says fan favorite. Because yes, she is an A-list character, and honestly getting those years off of the cards is a great idea, because when you see, 2022 on the corner, it tells you it's old. All right, let's look at another example. So here's some recent reissues I came across at Target. Red Hulk and Wolverine from a Build-A-Figure wave from last year. What was it? It was the guy with the tank body. I never found the Red Hulk, because this is actually the very first time I've seen this Red Hulk on shelf. I was actually kind of pretty excited. Granted, we'd have to pay more for it than last time, but hey. So why? These are kind of odd choices. Well, Red Hulk is on shelf right now because Captain America 4 was supposed to come out originally this summer, and Toys R produced, or at least designed, very early. Same thing happened with the Deadpool San Diego Comic-Con set from last year, 2023. Deadpool originally was going to come out in 2023. It didn't, so it kind of didn't make sense, but that's why this was at Comic-Con. It was supposed to be promoting Deadpool and Wolverine. But, you can still promote it a year early, because Deadpool's Deadpool. Which also brings us to the reissue of Wolverine from the Bonebreaker, right? That's his name, the Bonebreaker Build-A-Figure wave. So this is a damn close Wolverine to the Hugh Jackman, and so is this one, both of which are on shelf. Don't you think that's deliberate? Yes, because Hasbro knew they wouldn't be able to make an actual Hugh Jackman version because there were restrictions on Deadpool 2 merchandise. Obviously, they wanted to keep things tight. There were so many cameos, I could understand why. So in lieu of not having the Hugh Jackman version, well, they reissued some older Deadpool and Wolverine figures, and we'll talk about why, this was obviously smart because they couldn't, and they also don't change that much. It's virtually, the same look that he has, they both have in the movie. And they're both A-list characters. And having, honestly, Deadpool on shelf at all times is like Spider-Man and Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk. These guys should always be on shelf, which is why you always see them in things like the kid-friendly 3 3/4. But yeah, there's a reason that Wolverine always shows up, because he sells. Now, you want this because of what they call the early adapters versus the laggards, the full bell curve of when people join in on something. And yeah, laggards are going to want figures. But they're not really going to want the non-A-list figures. Sorry, I don't mean to keep picking on Storm here, but again, she's not Wolverine, she's not Deadpool, she's not Spider-Man. Reissuing a figure that is, that's what happens. Now, another reason to reissue figures, besides being A-list, is if there's a new vehicle or playset that is going to work with them. So, vis-a-vis the HasLab Cantina, right? It's coming out next year, so it would make sense that Hasbro would want to reissue, or because they probably don't have the tooling anymore, because any figure over 10 years probably doesn't have tooling anymore. They're expensive to store. So, yeah, you may not even be able to go back into production on the last Hammerhead figure they did, because this was, at least 15 years ago. So they got a new one coming. It makes sense. It's the character, whether you're reissuing a direct, the same toy or the same character, it's very similar, especially in the eyes of parents and kids. Collectors were much more attuned to the details, but yeah, Hasbro knew it took them quite a while to catch up with the sail barge. It took them about 2 years. They weren't sure probably if the sail barge was going to happen. With the Cantina, on the other hand, though, they've got figures in the queue already, as well as a whole bunch that were going to be packed in with the Cantina, way more than with the sail barge. So they're prepping for this new playset. Things like Wolverine and Deadpool, well, yes, while they couldn't do movie accurate for movie 3, at least getting the characters out there is a great idea. And for collectors, what's important is that they're in new packaging. While they couldn't change the figures, well, you are getting slightly different. Wolverine has the angry head and the metal claws, and Deadpool was originally with teenage Nega Bomb. Sorry, I can't remember her name. The girl with the explosion stuff, as well as his unicorn, which, by the way, the reason he probably still has his unicorn is because it was probably in the tool, so it was much easier just to include all the accessories. But yeah, they packed Wolverine out in a slightly different pose, didn't give him his bone claws, and has the angry eyes head, not the happy eyes or whatever that the previous release had. Another example of this is Silver Surfer. He's getting a reissue from Hasbro. Now, the original version of this was only available at Walgreens back in the day because that was when Fox still owned Fantastic Four and Hasbro wasn't producing Fantastic Four characters for mass retail, and Walgreens is not considered big box mass retail. They're a different channel. They're drug and grocery. So the original version was slapped with that little Walgreens sticker on it, which makes it unique to that release. I know because I have 2 of them. I love Norrin Rad. And the new release, same exact figure, same pack out, no Walgreens sticker. And that's important because it makes it slightly different for collectors, much like packing out Wolverine differently. But it keeps these characters out there, and there's buzz about Silver Surfer showing up in an upcoming movie, so it makes sense that they'd want to keep him out there. Same with She-Ra, we talked about her. So yeah, there's a reason and rationale for re-releasing figures when there's new content or a new toy that coexists with it, like the Cantina or the sail barge. If you're just reissuing for the sake of reissuing or because you think that there's demand, you should really apply those rules. And it doesn't help to put in new packaging, too, for the collectors. I hope this was a insightful video on what makes a good reissue versus just reissuing a figure for the sake of it. You need to have enough of a fan base to cover the MOQ, and that's the first big hurdle. Make it different enough and pay attention to A-list characters and any coinciding releases that complement the character. Thanks for watching. Thanks for sharing. The best thing you can do to support this channel is to share it with others. I will see you guys in the next video.